Objection! So a couple weeks ago, there was an interview done with the director of the new MLP movie, Jose Yuca. Now, admittedly, most of the information from this interview could be deduced naturally from the events of the movie. However, having these theories or concepts confirmed does give the audience more concrete grounds for the story. So today, we'll go ahead and discuss some of the highlights from this interview. One of the most obvious being that Sonny's father, Argyle, is 100% dead.
He's dead, John.
Just from the imagery of his glasses and necklace around his portrait, and the fact that he's not around during Sonny's adult years was pretty obvious. Sonny isn't an alicorn in the friendship is magic sense in the movie. It's more of a magical effect. Yeah, thinking about that plot point, it does make sense. Not just for the fact that her horn and wings were translucent, but as we know from Twilight's alicornication, she was given that status after years of proving her worth and being a role model for a future ruler. Now true, Sonny reuniting the three races is a noble cause, but compared to Twilight's life journey, it's just not quite enough for alicorn status.
Just 1 calorie, not evil enough.
There are 2 mountains during the end of Sonny and Izzy's duet song. One was going to be Canterlot-esque, but they decided against it to avoid creating an exact time skip between generations. Now this seems like an odd choice for the sake of the timeline. I get this movie is supposed to be a soft reboot and wanted to create a unique story that's different from G4's, as to not have to explain hundreds or thousands of years of history. Yet the movie constantly displays iconography of G4, like with the use of the main six's cutie marks at various times, or even the dolls of the main six in Sonny's house. Why be adverse to the idea of including Canterlot's mountain or the ruins of the city lying on the mountain if you're okay with using icons from G4? This also ties into the next point. They wanted G4 locations to be far in the past so they could completely reboot the world and start new. This includes the main six, who they didn't come up with a fate for. The fate of the main six would have been nice to hear about, but can be explored later on in the series. Fine. But their existence is a critical element for this whole movie, as they are the icons for Sonny's belief in bringing all these races back together. Going back to the previous point, they would have never had to explicitly say, hey, this is Canterlot. As I said, you could have just shown ruins on the mountainside, and that would have been enough to be explored later on in the series. For all intents and purposes, G4 is canon in G5, so yeah, it's kind of a weird production decision. Hoof feathers were indeed removed due to collision issues. Okay, to be fair, if I were an animator put in such a situation where I had to adjust the movements of the hoof feathers for every single solitary step, I'd riot too. They already have the natural movements of manes to contend with, and on such a slim timeline, yeah, I'd drop the hoof feathers as well. They went with regular animals instead of magical beasts we saw in Friendship is Magic to further solidify that magic was gone from the world. While it is kind of disappointing that no magical or fantastical creatures exist in this world now, the reasoning is justified somewhat. The movie's story isn't about saving the princess from the evil goblin or manticore or whatever. And any random encounter with a creature would have just felt like unnecessary padding for the sake of introducing an action scene. However, why does the loss of magic dictate the existence of magical creatures? I'm pretty sure the manticore or hydra can exist just by feasting upon the local population of animals. So really, this doesn't make any sense. I would have believed that all creatures were moved or banished to some shadowy lands far away, but to say that no magic equals no creatures sounds kind of weird. The movie didn't have a political agenda, but it did hint at real-life things going on. They include technology to relate better to modern society. I pretty much agree with that. Yeah, you have the dictator imagery with Sprout, but it's play for laughs because the guy's such a pathetic loser. There's also the xenophobia aspect, but it's played off as satirical, what with the ridiculous anti-Pegasi and unicorn inventions and various other imagery depicting the races as brain-eating monsters. And in all honesty, the movie does pretty much reflect modern society. Look at all the events of the past couple years and how integrated we are with technology. Look at all the negative things that are still prevalent in this world. I've seen many criticize the movie for its message of saying racism is bad and it's talking down to its audience. And yeah, it's obvious, racism is bad, and there have been numerous movies or stories that browbeat the message into the viewer that it comes off as just a guilt trip to force the audience to feel something for the characters in these situations. But you know what? With how prevalent racism is in the world today, it's clear everyone isn't getting the message. Hate speeches and groups still exist, spreading their message of bigotry everywhere. We need messages of positivity now more than ever, teaching children about the issues of racism in a way that they can absorb and comprehend, making it critical to their development of treating everyone as equals. Does the movie at times feel a little heavy-handed with all the hatred between the three races? Maybe to some, but I didn't find it distracting or felt browbeat at all. The movie did just enough to ride the line of educating its viewers of racism and xenophobia and not talking down to them. Though I had my own issues with the movie, overall it's a story about a character wanting to reunite the world and make friends with all the races of the world once more, and it's a very noble cause. So yeah, before you say the message of racism is forced or is unnecessary in this movie, take a look at the world again. Tell me I'm wrong. Anyway, if you guys have any opinions or ideas concerning the movie or this interview, leave them down in the comments below and let's see your guys' perspective. And don't forget to subscribe. Well, that's it for today, guys. Until next time, MC!